If I've learned anything about the Edmund Fitzgerald, it's that it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't a perfect storm. The storm was certainly part of it, but there were so many contributing factors that brought down the Mighty Fitz. Recently, I traveled to Northwood, Ohio, and sat down with 94-year-old Master Captain Mike Pulcer, who was at one time the captain on the 1,000-foot Columbia Star and several other boats on the Great Lakes. And most interesting of all is that he spent 4 years on the Edmund Fitzgerald as third mate under Captain Peter Pulcer and under Captain McSorley, who went down with the Fitzgerald. And the things I'm learning from him are blowing my mind. Things I have never heard before. Things that you're going to hear next. Stand by. This is gonna get interesting.
We were going up Lake Huron, and one of the blades broke off.
The prop blade.
Prop blade.
So this is a reoccurring theme. We know late in its career they kept prop blades on the deck.
Yeah,
because,
2 of them.
Exactly.
It would throw you off your feet. It did this wobble like,
It had to be an enormous vibration.
Oh, vibration was a swinging,
Wow.
I think I fell down, and by that time the old man is calling on the phone. We got to the Chadburn and it rang out. The engine room had cut her back too,
What did you do when the prop blade broke off?
Just trimmed her down.
Those propellers are specifically balanced, so if you lose one, you're going to be vibrating.
Well, after you slow her down, it wasn't too bad.
It would be better. Yeah.
You could get some movement out of it. You weren't.
So did you proceed on? Did you turn around and go back? Or?
We went up as far as the Sioux Locks.
Okay.
But anyhow, they changed the blades at the Sioux Locks. Below the locks, they had a dock there. Well, they had a crane on the dock and lift that blade up and put it underneath,
So that would have been like the early 70s that happened?
McSorley was not the captain then. Pulcer was.
Okay. So it would have been before like 72
or
or
71 or so.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Pulcer. Peter Pulcer.
At another time, we were leaving Detroit River and coming to Toledo.
On the Fitzgerald.
On the Fitzgerald. Toledo Light to the end of the channel is 6 miles.
Okay.
So we come out there and there's a boat ahead of us, and Pulcer, he's got her going wide open. See, I'm in the radar watching to see if we're going to be able to pass him. To me, it didn't make sense. It's only 6 miles. How much time do you save if you went by him?
What kind of boat was it?
Well, it was almost the same. It looked exactly a sister ship to the Zanzibar.
I got you. So it was a pretty good-sized ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was owned by Erie Sand and Gravel.
Okay.
We went halfway down the channel now, There's only 3 miles more to go. You can't pass them in that time. Oh, he said, this is the Fitzgerald, and he jammed the Chadburn to full speed.
Are you inside the channel at this?
Well, we're in the channel. You come out, the Detroit River Light, and you turn and you go toward Toledo.
Okay. Yeah. And you were trying to overtake the ship.
So we go by him, and he's going full speed. This other guy is an old boat with a steam engine. He's going, 8 mile an hour or less even, I don't know. But anyhow, we get up to him, and then there's a point when you're in this situation where both boats are traveling at the same speed, side by side. And the other boat come in and hit the Fitzgerald, knocked the side in a foot, and the back, I think it was 18 hatches, but it's 16, 17 hatch.
So somewhere in the back third?
Yeah, punched that in about it. Really hit hard.
See, I've never heard that before. All the things that are said about the Fitzgerald, never have I heard this story.
That's another bump,
So there was a collision.
Yep. They didn't. They just did some welding and stuff, and we kept running till the end of the year, and they put her in the dry dock then to fix it.
I'll be darned. Could you visually look down the deck of the Edmund Fitzgerald in rough seas and see it twist and bend? Can you
Oh
see
yeah,
that?
that was a thing. We all seen it, and it was the one especially. We were up in Lake Superior on the south shore, and we were in pretty good sea. Not enormous or anything, we were maybe 9, 10 feet, maybe more, I don't know. The boat would come up, and as it come up, the cabin would go at an angle like that.
It would bend.
It would twist, sort of. And it was so noticeable, all the guys, the crew on the boat knew that this
was happening.
Every time you hit a wave, the boat come up in front, it would twist over like that. Instead of just coming up straight and down, When it's in a storm, you can't hear anything except a banging and stuff, When a wave hits, it makes a hell of a racket.
But that one, would you say, twisted maybe a little more than some of the others?
Well, none of them.
You've never seen a twist like that?
No, nobody's seen that, just that one boat.
Was it understood among crew members on the Fitzgerald that maybe this thing had problems?
There were a lot of people on there. It was made with a lot of imported steel from China, from Russia.
The Fitzgerald.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any of that in their hearings or anything, I think there was. The cook was one of them. In fact, he didn't make that trip on the last couple of trips.
Yeah, he had a sub cook.
Yeah, he claimed he was hurt and telling the office there's something wrong here, something wrong.
But who's going to listen to the cook in regards to...
He told me and him talked a lot about this, He kept ship on that boat. He laid up in Superior, and he kept ship on it, and they'd do welding on this, at the bottom of the ship on the keel.
The keel.
And the plates were breaking loose on there, the length of the ship. They had cracks in it like that.
What did they do about it?
He told me that the welders, they get paid how much welding you did that day, They'd take some of those sticks, and they'd put them in there.
Welding sticks? Or?
Yeah, rods.
Mm-hmm.
They'd stick 3, 4 of them in there, and then they'd weld over it.
It sounds like a temporary repair to get it to the next
fill
crack.
it up, see?
Yeah, fill up the crack.
Yeah.
So she's coming apart at this keel.
Yeah. Every other year they had to do that, and from one end of the boat to the other. The last time it was in there that I fit out, they didn't finish it that year. They didn't finish it because they were putting a hull in, going to lengthen the boat.
They were going to lengthen it.
Yeah. So anyhow, they never got the chance.
Obviously. But the Fitzgerald twisted and bent more than what you were used to seeing anywhere else.
The boat's 700 feet long. If you sat in front of the cabins, that boat would go up, it would come down the cabin, it would go down below your vision. At least, the forward end.
Sure.
It would sink down, not all of it, but and there are very many boats that I was on, I could ever see that. Never.
Didn't that bother you?
Yeah, sure. That's why everybody was worried about it. There was, a lot of them guys. John Simmons, he was nervous as hell.
There had to have been some level of structural failure that contributed to the demise of the Fitzgerald.
Yeah, well, any accident, it isn't just one thing.
Of course.
They said it hit bottom. It could have. Broke a couple of them off.
The vent covers.
Vent covers.
Yeah.
No, pour water in there, you could pump that out easily enough.
Right, it's going into the ballast tank.
Yeah. They were pumping, and he said they barely keep up with it or something, but they weren't.
He reported a list, a slight list, and then the next time he talked about that list, he called it, we have a bad list, and MCs I've never seen before. We've lost our radars. We got a fence rail down, 2 vent covers off. He was in trouble, and he knew it. In the end, do you have an opinion as to what happened to the Edmund Fitzgerald?
Well, there's one big, what they call the third wave.
3 sisters.
Yeah, that's a fact.
That's a real thing.
Yeah. if you were reading draft marks on a boat and there's a slight wave coming in, wait till the third wave, but when do you start on the counting, you know? So if the water coming up and down, you know, an inch or 2 inches, you would wait until it settled down, then you take your marking, you know, for draft when you're loading. Make that larger, 30-foot waves. Every third one is tougher than
the last one.
Yeah. So
do you think it was taking water into the cargo?
Oh, it was cracked open somewhere on the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't know if that was from growing aground or just structural failure, possibly both.
I think maybe they hired a tug to go out and examine in that shoal area, and they claimed that they found a rock there with paint on it, and they took it out, and I seen a picture of them bringing this rock aboard this tug, and there was paint on it. They claim it was the same paint as what was on the bottom of the Fitzgerald. I don't know whether nobody believes it or what. I don't know.
Do you believe it?
If you got a 30-foot wave and you're going to sink what, 20 feet or something, you're going to get something out of that.
Yeah.
Or this consistently, you know, tore it apart. Because, in my opinion, she whacked more than she should have, you know. There was 3 levels, a deck level and the mate's level, and then there was the captain's level and the pilot house on top of that. Well, you'd lose 2 of those levels, you know. So that's quite a bit. That's 8-10 feet apiece. So that's 20 feet that that boat went down.
You know, they retracted the winter load lines and let it carry more. Then if you're taking on water some way because you're experiencing structural failure, you know, taconite gains a lot of weight with water too.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like the perfect storm, no pun intended, inside the perfect storm. With the following sea, based on their situation, as low as they were, could have, you know, jacked the stern up and, you know, nose dived in with a bow, and by that time it had lost most of its buoyancy and just couldn't recover and kept going.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, each time it taking on more water, you know, and finally it took enough that it couldn't recover.
Did you get along well with Captain McSorley?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, was he hard to get along with?
No, he was
like
good.
The taskmaster, like
he didn't talk that much, you know.
He was quiet.
In fact, I was with him, you know, I'd say 4 months or something before. One time I was sitting in the galley and he came in and he talked to me.
The galley was in the back of the stern, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys had a
we were
conversation.
in the harbor, in 2 harbors, and he talked to me and you know, all the time has been the pilot house or anything, never talked. He never said much.
He just didn't talk a lot.
Not to me, you know.
Yeah, okay.
He had his friends, his wheelsmen from other boats follow him around. They all followed him around, this crew. Of course, I was a third mate, you know, and they're pointed wherever you go. Which I didn't mind going with him, but I knew he was tough on weather.
Yeah, so you guys are eating in the galley, and he shares a story with
you,
right?
He's telling me, he said, I'm going to retire. This is my last year. He's going to retire. Now, there's a wheelsman on there, John Simmons. He's going to retire, too. He was my buddy. He was my friend, you know. He went down with the boat, too, of course. All the time I was on there, 4 years, he was a wheelsman for me. I was on his watch, yeah.
So McSorley told you that, look, I've had enough, I'm going to retire.
Yeah, well, he didn't say it like that. He said he was of age. He said he's going to retire.
Yeah.
The chief engineer was going to retire.
Who was that, Hall? George Hall?
Yeah, George Hall, yeah.
I'll be darned. That's really interesting. Do you remember what Captain McSorley sounded like? Do you remember his voice at all? Or can you remember it in your mind?
Well, he was smooth talking, you know. I don't think I ever seen him angry or anything like that, you know. I don't think I ever did. Like when we were ready to turn the boat around that time, you know, I don't think he got really excited or anything, you know, but he was damn scared, you know. He was white as could be, you know.
But he remained, would you say, calm?
Yeah. He was a little anxious, I think. We couldn't get the damn boat to turn.
I can only imagine. Was it common back in the, let's just go 60s and 70s. I know you stretched back into the 50s, but 60s and 70s, was it common for captains to go out into the Great Lakes and not have all the hatches clamped?